So, well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Behind the Anchor. And now it feels like we are in a breath of fresh air, as for a sixth consecutive time, that Governor's Cup is where it is supposed to be, as we sit down with Head Coach Jim Fleming. And, Coach, it's always wonderful to see you, my friend.
Yeah, I know. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, that thing's sitting right up there in the trophy rack. As you saw, it was right on my table here. But I'm sure James might have something to say about where it does belong. But right now, very pleased to have it sitting right here in the football offices.
We certainly are happy to have that. And we'll jump into more about that game in just a moment. But first off, as always, we're going to jump into some quick hitter questions.
Love them.
And now let's talk about Deadliest Catch, because you have mentioned that a couple of times when talking about TV shows. Is that your favorite one?
I don't know. It might be. I mean, like I've told you before, whenever I get control of the television channel changer, I might be stumbling onto Deadliest Catch. But yeah, it's a go-to. You sit there, I don't know why it's so entertaining. It's over and over the same thing. Yeah, looking at the captains, all the rest of it. I'm always questioning whether I could be the fleet's oldest greenhorn and see how long I could last.
I haven't thought about that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I'd love
That'd
to
be
do
nice.
that. Yeah.
Now, are you a big fishing guy?
I was. I think, I grew up, we'd go to the Cape and we'd fish for, a couple of weeks, big striper fishing. And then when I got down here, had a couple of really incredible days out, just off the Southwest Ledge and Block Island, and caught some of the biggest stripers I ever had. But then I sold my boat because I didn't use it very much.
Yeah.
And, pick up my pole and I'll go throw it off the shore over in Jamestown. When they come in now, you might get some stripers off the shore, and I've caught, some bluefish, that kind of thing. And so I do like to do it, and I don't know if it's a passion anymore. I like to be in the water more than on it nowadays.
Fair enough. That's also a beautiful thing, especially where we live around here, huh?
No doubt.
Now, when you think back to all the fish that you've caught over the years, maybe what's the biggest one that you've reeled in on that line?
Well, I mean, up here, it was like I said, right off the Southwest Ledge. I was fishing with eels and pulled out a striper that I could actually put my entire fist into its mouth, which was a first for me. But I treated myself to a trip with some of the guys here that are friends in Rhode Island. They went down to Costa Rica, and I tagged along with them for about a 5-day fishing trip a couple of years ago, and we caught just about everything: marlin, tuna, you name it, cubera, snapper. It was nuts. So those are the biggest fish I've ever caught.
Cool. Awesome. Now, if you had to choose between golf or fishing, one or the other for the rest of your lifetime, which one are you taking?
I guess you got to go golf. It's a little bit easier. Don't have to row a boat out and get onto another boat, and it doesn't cost you quite as much. So I think it'd probably be golf.
You might be the first person I've ever heard say that wasn't a pro that said golf and easy in the same sentence. I might have to speak for myself. No, if you've gotten the
No, I don't mean it's easy to play. I really don't. I mean, it's easier to go ahead and get out there on the golf course and go play a Jamestown 9 than it is to go ahead and hump it all the way out to Block Island and try to catch a striper.
Now, if you had a offer of a lifetime, a boat or a motorized remote-controlled golf bag at the same price point, which one are you choosing? And I know that you've been talking about that golf bag for a while.
That's earned. So, I mean, my son is going to buy me one, but we got to win a championship to do it.
All right.
So that part's there. So that means I'll save my money for a boat.
Well, fair enough. And speaking of saving money and winning championships, we are going to jump right into the takeaway from the Governor's Cup. First of all, just an awesome game. I mean, it was fun to watch being on the sideline.
Yeah.
And I think you guys really started, especially in that second half, to come out and found that rhythm. You know, just how does it feel to take that longest winning streak of now 6 consecutive years for the University of Rhode Island in that Governor's Cup series?
I mean, it's historic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so it's one of those things. Me being superstitious to some extent, you start thinking the numbers might be stacking up against you, and every dog has his day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't this year for Brown, and we'll continue to try to keep that cup here as long as we can. But certainly it was a great game. I think we've been involved in some great games. I mean, you know, so you look at all of them, been crazy. But that one, with the significance of the Governor's Cup being home, sold out crowd, it was really special. And the kids played, like you said, second half, you know, we started to get our footing. And then, you know, at the end of the day, you sit there and block a field goal and then able to score, 4 plays later. That's playing off of one another exactly the way you want. Defense, stop, block a field goal, then go score. So that's all 3 phases.
Yeah, and you talked, a little bit about scoring. Let's talk about the pass offense. We saw Devin Farrell, Marquise Buchanan really come to life in that game, and then that kind of presented the opportunity for the run game once again to be just shy of 200 yards for that game. Just what does that mean for this team, and how high can this team just continue to climb in that realm?
Yeah, I mean, every time you look at and critique a game, you know, you look at the things that you can do better. Where are the areas for improvement? And like I mentioned, the team on Monday morning when we congregate for the first time since the game, we had identified, you know, the turnover margin, the time of possession, you know, our punt return game, a couple of other significant factors, and we're in third down performance, and we improved in all of those areas. Now, we still haven't reached our ceiling. You know, I've said this every week so far. We have not played our best game, our most complete game, and it may be required this weekend. But you know, I think that there's much more out there. I mean, we've grown through the first half of the season. You know, you see the play getting more and more consistent. You know, we made those improvements last week, and now we keep on that trend. We're still probably the only team probably in the history of college football that can be -10 in the turnover margin and still have 5 wins under their belt. So, you know, let's chip away at those things.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about kind of needing to make adjustments and playing your complete game, the roster wasn't in some sense complete after that Hampton game. The secondary was a little bit banged up. We talked about last week needing to limit Jake Wilcox, the QB, and he went 20 for 30, but only 165 passing yards, and also defense forces an interception. Just talk about that defensive mentality of that next guy up and stepping up into that secondary role.
Yeah, you know, it's critically important. It was Sean Floyd who got the green light. You know, Tapina Gray got banged up with a bum knee, but he'll be back this weekend. But Sean got out there. I think he was the leading tackler. You know, those are the things that you continue to talk about to the team. Is that there's got to be a next man up mentality, and are you going to be prepared and ready? Now, Sean wasn't like he was coming out of nowhere. I mean, he's played significant snaps for us and was in the rotation, so it wasn't one of those things you're bringing in a greenhorn. But you know, there's guys that have stepped up and done a nice job filling in, and they will continue to do so, and we'll play a bunch of those guys back there.
Now, I think one of the coolest things that a coach ever told me in high school was, if you're up 40 or you're down 40, it doesn't matter. Play until the clock hits 0. And in this game, it was a little bit tighter, but you guys have shown again and again, especially in the second half, that you guys will play until that clock hits 0. When you guys see that full-out mentality that, you know, we're going to keep going no matter what, how does that bring pride, and just what feelings does that make for your coaching staff?
Well, I think that it's representative of what you emphasize. You know, usually is in coaching, if you emphasize something, chances are, you know, if your team responds the right way, you're going to get those things.
Yep.
I think it's critically important, you know, and as long as I've been around the game, it still boils down to some of the things, the old school, statements, and they sound like coach speak because they are. But I've talked to those guys ad nauseum about, you've got to play the next play. It doesn't matter what the scoreboard says. You got 60 minutes to battle with a dude, and at the end of the game, you're either going to win or lose it based on 4 or 5 plays.
Right.
And, are you prepared at that moment to make those 4 or 5 50-50 plays that are going to make them go your way, or is it going to go the other way? But if you're prepared and you play extremely well and play hard, then the score is going to be what it is. It's all about how well can you play on that given day. And I think we've been able to stay that way and trying to keep it that way right now, because we are right at the point in the season where, we have been here before. We've had a little bit of a downturn right in the mid-year. And was that looking ahead? Might have been. I don't know. But we're trying to prevent that. It's all about come out with a good practice tomorrow and let's go play our best game up in New Hampshire, and we'll see how the chips fall.
Right. And now, before we jump quickly into New Hampshire, I do got to just ask you a little bit about that, just energy and emotion on the field after the game. There was a lot of fans, family, everybody came down.
Yeah.
And I do also have to ask, because if I'm not mistaken, there was a proposal that went down on the field. Do you have the ability to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll talk about it. Pat Conserve came up to me, and marriage is a big step.
Yep.
And, I told my children not until you're 28 or older, because, you're still growing. But Pat came to me. He's a great Rhode Island kid and obviously in love with his girlfriend. And he said, is it okay if I, propose after the game? I said, son, you suit yourself and your decision right there, but you got my blessing to do it on the field.
Awesome.
So I guess all the teammates knew about it, and I got kind of boxed out by the guys, so I really didn't see him go down on a knee. But it was a first for me, and it was kind of a special part of the finish.
Yeah, I just thought that was a cool thing to see that, and that was a special moment there.
Apparently went viral on Instagram.
Oh, it did. I had multiple people sending that to me saying, were you at this game? What was going on? And I said, I don't know. I just saw him get down on the knee. The next thing, everybody was excited. So I guess that means she said yes.
The backstory was that they weren't letting her onto the field. So, all the rest of those people have made their way to the field. Boy, she is still trying to get in. So Malik Grant takes off in a dead sprint, found her, brought her on out of the crowd and let her get there, and then the rest was history.
Well, a beautiful moment. We'll put it on the table for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
That was cool. And now let's jump right into New Hampshire. Last year we saw Jaden McKenzie 4-touchdown performance in a thrilling overtime win against New Hampshire. Now heading into their stadium this year, what kind of atmosphere do you expect to face off against this Saturday?
The same atmosphere we always get when we go up there. It'll be an energetic crowd. I mean, it's a significant game. It's a game of importance for both of us. I don't know, is it their homecoming? It might be.
I think it is.
It's their homecoming. So, we've been selected to be the homecoming prize. But it'll be a good crowd, and it'll be, and that rivalry has really come to a head. The program, what they've been able to do, the transition from Sean McDonald to Ricky Santos has been, fairly seamless. They've been able to reload at quarterback. They're able to reload, and they've done the things that we're hoping that we can do. If you can tell me that Rhode Island will be in the playoffs for 17 straight years, then that's kind of the piece that would make me very, very happy and very proud. Now, 17 years from now, I ain't going to be the guy doing it, but at least we can start the thing off. But it's going to be a big time deal. It's a hard place to play. We haven't beaten up there in 30 years. So, we've got to go finish it out. We thought we had one a couple of years ago. That was the catch, no catch, game. But, that was an incredible finish. We've been up there before 17-0 at halftime and lost 21-17 or something. So we're going to have to play a full 60 minutes, like you said, without regard to the scoreboard, and play well in all 3 phases and see if we can pull one out.
Yeah, and as you guys, jump full head of steam into the second half of this season, two teams, both undefeated in conference. Obviously, you just talked about all the other logistics, their homecoming, the rivalry is out ahead. How do you envision your program getting to that point where you come back saying, we got our job done, we got to 6-1?
Go win.
Right.
I mean, it really comes down to us playing our best football game and making sure that we can get on the bus and feel really good for 3 hours before we got to shift gears into Maine, I guess is the next one, but I haven't really looked that far ahead. This is just, it's a phenomenally big game and really looking forward to seeing how we perform in it, because I think we do have a good demeanor. We've got a good attitude and now how we handle big game environment on the road is going to be critically important. It gives us a chance to, if we're able to accomplish the mission right now, is to separate ourselves.
And the last question for you. Now, I know this is kind of broad here, but if you kind of had to pinpoint based on what you've seen over the last 6 weeks, heading into this game, what are 3 things that you think need to happen, must happen this weekend in order for you guys to have that bus ride back and say we won?
3 things. We need to come out on the plus side of the turnover margin. I'm convinced that that's a critical piece of it. I think the special teams will have a huge piece to do with this thing, so I think we need to win that component. And then, how we perform on both sides of the ball right now in third down.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Coach, well, thank you very much again. Another episode is through. I can't believe it. We're flying through New Hampshire. Make sure to tune in this Saturday.